The Kaleidescape Strato V player is on its way, and with the V comes some interesting logistics about how it works within the Kaleidescape ecosystem, how it works in conjunction perhaps with other Kaleidescape hardware. So I wanted to make this video after some discussion, after clarifying some of these logistics with Kaleidescape themselves. I think there's 5 key points to keep in mind, and these points should be useful for you potentially even if you're a new entry into the Kaleidescape system, you're getting a V, you may upgrade later, or for existing owners, particularly like myself, that may already have some Terra servers, may already have some Strato C players. So let's jump right in with these things to keep in mind if you're considering adding Strato V players to your home theater setup. So the first point of clarification comes in with regards to how the storage in the V is actually used in the system. Now the V comes with a 960 gigabyte solid state drive inside, just slightly less than 1 terabyte, good to hold about 10 2-hour 4K movies. And the thing to keep in mind with this is that the storage in a V can only be accessed by that specific V player itself. So if you have multiple zones and you're considering putting independent Strato Vs in different places, that storage does not accumulate together within the system. V1 cannot play off of V2 and vice versa. Additionally, a Strato C also cannot play off of the internal storage in a V. That storage, that solid state drive, the way it's intended to be used is for that individual V in standalone mode directly. Now if you have multiple Vs in a system, without a Terra server you will be able to choose when you download, I want to send this movie to that V, I want to send this movie to that V. And the last element of this logistic to keep in mind is once you do add a Terra server to your system with Vs in it and you group all of that stuff together, the storage inside the V will be disabled. It will not be available to the remainder of the system. So the second logistic that I want to talk about is specifically for the folks that may already have Strato S's in their home theater setups. I've actually talked to a number of folks that had Strato S's, 6 terabyte, 12 terabyte, whatever models, and were interested in adding Vs because maybe they were using the S in the theater and now they wanted to add a V to the living room. And they're thinking, hey, the V can play off of the storage in the Strato S. And the unfortunate logistic element with regards to that is that doesn't work like that out of the box. A V together with a Strato S in a system cannot be grouped directly in a way that would allow a V to play movies directly off of the Strato S. Now, if that system were to add a Terra server to it and everything were to be grouped together, then the storage pool increases and you would get the storage available from the Terra server that was added, as well as the ability to access the storage on the Strato S as well. That storage would add together and the V would be able then to play off of any of it. But the key there again is you have to have a Terra. A Terra enables everything and a Terra allows everything to start to go into this special grouped mode. There is one other little caveat to keep in mind with this. Specifically, the Strato S is not able to play to as many zones as a Terra server can. So a Strato S would be able to play a movie itself. It would be able to end up playing a movie that it has stored on its hard drive to a V when you have the Terra and everything is in this grouped mode. But that's the limit of the Strato S. The Terras, of course, give you the ability to play out to more players at the same time. Depending on the number of zones you have, the complexity of your system and whatnot, that may or may not be an important factor for you. All right, for the third logistic, I want to talk specifically about the introduction of the Dolby Vision movies to the store. When it comes specifically to the 4K content, we've already had multiple formats in the store because we have SDR and HDR10. Dolby Vision is now a third and just an additional type of format. When you go to the movie stores now, all around the Kaleidescape ecosystem, you can see the details about what any given film is available in, whether again it's HDR10, it's Dolby Vision, it's both. And as my time of recording this, very early into the life cycle of the Strato V, there's already a decent amount of Dolby Vision content in the store, and more should continue to flow as time goes by. Now, one logistic of the Dolby Vision variant of these films to keep in mind is that there's no additional cost for it, which is awesome. The movies are just having Dolby Vision added again as an additional variant. If you buy a film that had Dolby Vision or didn't have Dolby Vision, it's all the same price. If you already owned content that had Dolby Vision added to it, you get the Dolby Vision variant of that film also at no additional charge. I'm also told that when it comes to digital offers and upgrading content, say from SD or HD, Dolby Vision is not playing any additional factor or role in the pricing that is offered to you there either. So what really matters with the advent of Dolby Vision content is essentially what are you downloading to store and playback with your system. Now when you kick off downloads in the Kaleidescape ecosystem, they're going to intelligently look at the system that you have, look at the players that you have, look at the configurations and stuff about them, and make the best determination of what you should be downloading. If that should be HDR10, if that should be the Dolby Vision version of the film. But depending on your system, you may want to specifically kind of interact or intervene with those selections, and you are able to change them on a per download basis. This also means that if you have existing content stored on a Tera, you may be needing to delete potentially some of that HDR10 content in order to now download the Dolby Vision version of a film, depending on some other elements of your system. This is the most complex part. I'll get to a little of this more when we get to the fourth point in this list also. One thing that I did want to mention, because I've heard it mentioned so frequently around forums and whatnot, is that people were noticing that, hey, some films are bigger, the download sizes are bigger for Dolby Vision. And I do want to add to that, as I've been told, is basically pay no attention to the file size difference between Dolby Vision and the HDR10 variants of the movies. The file size difference has nothing to do with quality, and in fact, if you look hard enough, you can find instances of different films where the HDR10 version of the movie, the download size is actually larger than the Dolby Vision. As much as I talk about video bit rates and encoding sizes and stuff like that as a measure of quality within Kaleidescape and discs and streaming and so on, when it comes to this specific element now of the Kaleidescape ecosystem, HDR10 versus Dolby Vision, size does not in fact matter. Alright, so let's get into the fourth logistic, because I actually have this very specific logistic at play in the Techthusiasm home theater setups. I have a Tera, I have a Strato C, and at a minimum, depending on my options here, I would look to probably put a Strato V specifically in my living room where I have an LG G2 OLED television capable of Dolby Vision. Now, I already have a Tera here loaded up with 4K content, and because Dolby Vision hasn't existed until now, this Tera is sitting pretty with a whole bunch of HDR10 content in it. Well, I probably want to play the Dolby Vision if I'm watching the movies in the living room, and I'm using a projector in the home theater that is not capable of Dolby Vision. And there's two really important key elements to this as you're adding Vs to existing systems. And that's the fact that the V is the only player in the ecosystem that can play the Dolby Vision variant of a film. And the V will do so intelligently. If the V is connected to a display and it can access a Dolby Vision download of a movie, it can play that content in Dolby Vision. If the V is connected to an HDR10 only type of display, and you have the Dolby Vision content downloaded for it to play that movie, it will play like the base layer HDR10 out of that. In the ecosystem, the Strato C is incapable of playing those Dolby Vision downloaded files. Of course, the C itself is not Dolby Vision capable, but nor can the C play the HDR10 base layer out of a Dolby Vision variant downloaded movie. So what does all that mean? Well, if I had a Strato V in the living room connected to a Dolby Vision setup, which I would have, and I have a Strato C in the theater connected to an HDR10 setup, and I wanted to maximize my use of Dolby Vision and HDR10, I would in fact have to download the movie twice. I would have to download the HDR10 version for the C to play it in HDR, and if I wanted the DV again, I would download the Dolby Vision version of the movie so that the V could play it to the television in the living room. Again, the players will always try to play the best variant of a movie that's available to them that they can see in the system, but based and limited by what their capabilities are. Now, these double downloads are kind of wasteful, right? Storage is at a premium in the Kaleidescape ecosystem, and I certainly don't want to be buying more storage basically just to hold the movies twice. It is essentially a 2x factor. If you're downloading those two different variants of the film, you are downloading and occupying roughly 2 times the space within your server. So that all said, again, if I want to end up maximizing Dolby Vision in the living room, I only want to download one copy of the film in one variation. I'm probably very likely to just want to go ahead and change out the Strato C for the theater to a Strato V, even though the theater is not Dolby Vision capable. In that case, if I had a V up there, I had also a V down here, I would be able to download the DV copy of the movie. It'll play in DV in the living room, and it will play in HDR10 to the theater. Do keep in mind though, again, based on your specific Kaleidescape system, that there are a couple things that the C does that the V doesn't. Maybe in your theater, you really need to be taking advantage of that audio-only HDMI output. Maybe in your system, you need that co-star support. You have some more legacy type of Kaleidescape products. So there are reasons why you may have to make some choices. This is where it starts to get a little complex. I could talk about this probably for a long time, but I believe some of this stuff is very individual specific, again, to your system, your needs, and so on. That's where the dealers come in. Did I mention I'm a Kaleidescape dealer? Hey, if you want to upgrade your system, you want to add some Strato Vs, you want to enter the Kaleidescape platform, I'm your guy. Let's talk about it. We can sort all of this stuff out, figure out the best way to go, the optimal way to go for whatever hardware you need to accomplish your goals for your system. Lastly, in conjunction with this point and a suggestion for Kaleidescape, one of the things that I would love to be able to do is just have like a single point option to be able to say, hey, I've got an existing Tera full of HDR movies, hit a button and delete those all out and re-download those same films in Dolby Vision. I think that would be an awesome efficiency kind of maneuver. As it is at this moment in time when this video is posting, if you want to replace the HDR10 content on your Teras with the Dolby Vision content, you need to delete it and you need to start a new download discreetly of that individual movie in the Dolby Vision format. The last thing that I want to talk about the V has actually to do with HD style content. So with the launch of the V, essentially one of the things that Kaleidescape is doing is changing over the encodings of HD content from an older codec to a newer style codec. The V is incapable of playing HD content in the older style codec, and you may have some of those movies sitting on your Tera servers. Now they're working very hard. They're trying to turn over all of the HD movies in the store, and given an appropriate amount of time, that turnover process will be complete. However, you may have to trigger some re-downloads of HD content as you're adding Vs to your system. And for this, there actually is a really cool and simple migration tool. If you go to the Kaleidescape webpage, log into your account, look under Manage for the Strato V Readiness tool, choose the SDR, HDR, Dolby Vision type of format that you're looking to optimize within your system, and it'll specifically tell you, hey, these movies are downloaded currently to your system right now, and we have the new codec HD upgrade to be able to serve to you. Hit the update all, and away you go. There is another option which I don't really recommend very much, which is you could replace those HD downloads with SD downloads. And quite honestly, in 2024 here, who wants to watch SD copies of movies? I'll just wait. I'll watch if I really I guess have to watch that movie specifically, I'll figure something else out. But I think the content upgrade rollover will come fast enough. I wouldn't go adding SD downloads to my Tera server personally right now. But what that does mean is you probably want to come back maybe once a week, every other week or so. If you have movies that hadn't been turned over to the new HD format yet, just check the readiness tool. You can come back in if there's new stuff in the list, hit that update button, and the re-download upgrade will take place. So that are some really important points to consider if you're thinking about a V, you have some existing Kaleidescape hardware. Again, the simplest thing to do, call me. If you have another dealer that you're working with, great. Call them, ask these questions. The dealers will help you sort out specifically what you need, and the dealers will help you figure out how best to integrate Strato Vs into your home theaters, into your home theater systems. Stay tuned to the channel for more Kaleidescape Strato V content. I am looking forward to having mine, and I'm going to go ahead and run the experiment for a little while, I think, and basically only use the V in standalone mode. Go back to the idea of what is the experience of that player. We're going to be looking at the UI, we're going to be looking at the usability, all of the things that you would expect from Techthusiasm content, particularly along the lines of Kaleidescape. If you have questions, ask them in the comments. Let's discuss. And again, if you want to have a conversation, reach out to me, Jeremy at Techthusiasm.net. We'll get your questions answered, and hopefully we'll get you all hooked up for some Kaleidescape awesomeness. If you'd like to support the channel in other ways, there's a bunch of things down in the description below. Super thanks, PayPal, Venmo tips, become a channel member is a great way, and shop with all my other affiliates, Amazon, Best Buy, Newegg, and so on. And if you're looking for some larger scale home theater stuff, I'm partnered with Audio Advice and some other great companies there. If I can't serve your needs directly, I will definitely send you over to them. If you would, please do all that regular YouTube stuff. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, share the video, leave the comment, let's discuss, and come on back for more home theater discussion and a whole lot of fun with some cool new hardware. Thanks.